Hey everyone, I want to thank you for joining me on the third episode of Positive Truth. I'm JP Robinson, your host, and I'm really excited to answer that question today, or to address the question, does criticism mean that I'm a failure? You know, you can't be an author without getting criticized. I've often joked that you're not an author unless you've had a bad review. And for us as authors, it can be kind of tough, to deal with criticism. Sometimes we can kind of take it personally and things. And I know it's not just authors, that's just us as human beings. And as I look at the world and see how people often respond to criticism on social media or online or in the news or whatever, I think it's important enough to just share my thoughts on it, that basically criticism doesn't mean that we're a failure. What criticism means is that we have room to grow. And I'm working with some kids, some young people, and sharing with them the opportunity of, like, the whole message of reaching your potential. And a large part of that reaching our potential and growth is simply dealing with criticism. That when people tell us things, they may not tell it in the nicest way. They may not use the purported hamburger method of wrapping it in between a compliment and stuff like that. But what we have to do is kind of take a step back and sit down and say, okay, even if something's said hurtfully to me, I need to turn around and look at that a little bit more closely and say, okay, can I extrapolate some kind of constructive criticism from it? And if I can, what am I going to do with it? The Bible tells us over in Proverbs 15:31, that constructive criticism and dealing with it, if we listen to it and we grow from it, we'll be counted among the wise. And so I think that really for us as individuals, as a society, and as authors, whatever role in life or roles we are occupying, parents, whatever we are, it's important for us to sit down there and listen to what is said to us, whether we like it or not, whether or not we like the way in which it is said. But really, we're not a failure as long as we listen to what's being said and are determined to take it and turn it around so that we're growing. So again, criticism doesn't mean that we're failures, but it does mean that there is possibly room for us to grow. And I, for one, think that's a good thing, because if I'm not growing as an author, then I'm finished. I'm stagnant. Every time I look at one of my books and I go back and think about it, I realize that I'm not the same person that wrote that book. I've grown, I've changed, I've become a different author after every single title. And I'm so excited. That's actually what makes me so excited to sit down and write the next book. One of the things I really love about it is that I know that by the time I'm done with this next book, I'm going to be even more different. And I want to see how that's going to be reflected through the growth and development and changing of my characters. So I hope this helps you. Sit down and look at things and say, okay, I'm not a failure. You should verbalize that, really express that out and say, I'm not a failure, but I'm going to have room to grow. And I'm going to do that and go forward in Christ's name. Have a great day.